you hear a lot about resources. I think nowadays, and now finally, there's a lot more legal resources. Like if you were jammed up, let's say in 2020, you might have had more resources than you had, right? There's even prison consultants, right, that help you acclimate. One area that lacks is that bridge home. I'm not hearing about like acclimation consultants. I'm not hearing about PTSD guys. What recommendations do you have for somebody who's getting out? And two, like, why are there lack of resources in that particular space?
Okay, so this is what I think. All right, the Federal Bureau of Prisons gives out these reentry courses before you get out, but it's all bullshit, man. It's all nonsense.
Yeah.
Do they have some good programs in there? Yeah, the ones that are taught by other prisoners. Yeah. So they don't really prepare you. When I got out here, I didn't know how to use a credit card. I was embarrassed. At Walmart, I didn't know how to put the card in. I didn't know what you could tap it. So there's a guy that I was really close with, right? His name's Cedric Dean. He did about 25, 26 years in prison. He taught me a lot, man. Black dude. He's now running for city council.
Oh, wow.
He has a reentry program where he's at. He has a program for kids called RISE, Reentry Integrate. I don't know the exact name, but he also has a halfway house that he has contracts with the federal government where he houses people that get out in his housing. And he's big on reentry, man. Cedric Dean. He's the type of guy that's really doing big things. Should the federal government, put some resources into real reentry once people are on the street? Yeah. Are there some real reentry programs? There probably are. I mean, there's like a place where I'm from called Rock Recovery. They help people. I think they're legitimate. They care about people. But there's a lot of people, man, it's a money grab, man. And you talk about the prison consultant thing. I own a prison consultant firm. And I kind of do prison consulting for free. I don't charge people to tell you what prison's like.
Yeah.
Like I said, my YouTube channel is kind of like, it's prison consulting. I'm telling you what's really going on in there.
Yeah.
And, like we talked about the legal stuff, and I know you did the mob stuff, Tommy Reynolds, Bath Avenue. I did Tommy Reynolds' case, and I won his compassionate release. I got
really quick. I want to talk about that. And before you jump in, I'm sorry to cut you off, Chad. So the Tommy Reynolds case is obviously a really hot topic right now, right? So just go from like the absolute beginning, and I'd rather you be painstakingly slow because this is a huge area of interest for our audience.
Okay, so me and Tommy Reynolds became really, really close friends in prison. We're both from New York, so obviously there's a connection, right? Whenever you're from a place, I don't care if you're from Florida or New York or Boston, the guys where you're from, there's a connection.
Yeah.
I get to Raybrook, I meet Tommy. Hey, yeah, man, how are you? Someone's like, hey, man, you know who that guy is? And then he tells me the story. And about a month later, I see the little show on television, right? I think it was on like one of them crime shows. I'm like, oh shit, that's the dude. And then a month or two later, I end up teaching this class called Alternative Violence Project Seminar. We all get in this. I don't teach it yet. We all get into this course. It's a reentry course. One of the ones that actually work. And I meet Tommy. We not meet him, but we end up becoming closer in that class. Eventually, we go on and we teach the class together. I find out Tommy's a Christian, man. He changed his life. He's a really good man. He would come out every morning. He'd walk the track. I'd be working out. When I got done working out, me and Tommy would walk the track for an hour every morning, talk. We'd meet up at the Hobby Craft. Just a dude that really, really changed his life. He was embarrassed about some of the stuff that's on that show, the drug use.
Yeah.
Something that he was like, didn't want people to ever know. And that came out on that little crime show. So really embarrassed about that. Just a different dude though, man. Changed his life, appreciates his freedom. And I can tell you this, there's plenty of people in jail that say, I love God and I'm into Jesus. Tommy Reynolds loves the Lord, man.
God bless.
I don't believe that Tommy Reynolds is involved in gossiping about people or, whatever's, I'm not involved in that. I don't want to be in YouTube arguments or beefs and, to each their own. If you got a positive message and you're on YouTube, then that's what's up, because my message is saving kids from life imprisonment and premature death, and dudes that are coming home and women, they're grounded in that channel. I mean, there's 37,000 subscribers and people are like, look, man, your channel reminds me it's real. And I do a lot of stuff on there, man. I do giveaways for single mothers, single fathers, where we give back the money that we make.
Yeah, Chad, we're going to keep in touch because I'd like to do two things. Is I actually want to work on doing things specifically for single mothers because I was brought up by a single mom. And number two is I'd be willing to offer my services. I have a background in business. I have a small business for marketing. I'd love to maybe take on a few guys, mentor them, and help them start their own business, help them maybe, whether it be a class or whether it be one-on-one. Keep me in mind for anybody who, because here's the thing, right? Nowadays, and I didn't know this, you got to forgive me. I'm like a straight guy, right? Straight shooter in terms of like never been arrested, never been whatever. I didn't know the limitations you have once you have a felony jacket. So I'm very sensitive to that because I lost a brother. He spent some time in prison, and I'm like, you know what? I would love to help some guys out or whoever you recommend and get them on the right path because sometimes you need a helping hand.
100%. I'll definitely keep you in mind, and I wouldn't send guys to you that I think are not going to do the right thing. You know what I mean? I had a guy that I helped get out of jail, right? I was in prison at the time, but I had a lot of connections with people.
Yeah.
And I helped send him to the White House with Donald Trump.
Holy
and
shit.
Donald Trump pulled him up on the stage, says, "Come on up here, Troy, and say a few things," right? So Troy gets up there and he talks and like, "Yeah, thank you for the First Step Act and everything."
That was your boy. I remember that.
Yeah, Troy Powell. So
yeah.
But now let me tell you what happens with Troy, though. Troy's out. He gets up there on the stage. He talks. He catches a brand new case, and he's back in federal prison. I had another guy that I got out on compassionate release, one of the toughest cases I had. And I told him, I said, look, this is going to be tough, but we're going to give it a shot. And we win the case in Florida.